Brought to you by Penguin.
My Boss is a Moron. Written and read by me, Ben Askins. This book is dedicated to my amazing wife Ellen and to anyone who's struggling with their job. I hope this book makes things that little bit easier and the burden feel that little bit lighter as a result of listening to it. You will hear a lot of stories in this book. Some of the names and details have been changed. Introduction. If you're thinking about writing a book, I have a few observations that might help. The first is that it's a lot harder than you might think. This may not be as much of a surprise to you as it was to me. I absolutely swaggered into the process, couldn't have been more confident. A whole year to write about a topic I release daily videos about. Absolute breeze. I was so cocky I even tried to shorten the deadline my ever-patient editor originally gave me, before sheepishly returning, hat in hand, to ask for my original schedule back. The second observation is that a combination of WhatsApp and spell check has completely ruined my understanding of how grammar works. Full stops and commas were fine, but I still have absolutely no idea when I'm meant to use a semicolon, and developed an unhelpful tendency to throw one in every now and again just to make a paragraph feel fancier. The final observation I would make is that when you start writing, despite having every intention of trying to sound natural and easy to understand, you start reaching for words or phrases that you have never actually used in your adult life and only have a vague idea of what they mean. This is compounded by the fact that, because the writing process takes over a year, you slightly forget what you've written in earlier chapters. It was this perfect storm that led to my first draft containing the phrase pièce de résistance on no less than 8 separate occasions, despite having not once ever used those words in any other context. This book has been one of the hardest challenges I have ever set out to accomplish. Not because I didn't know what I wanted to write, but because this is such an enormous topic, and one that I have immersed myself in so thoroughly over the last couple of years, that trying to mention everything I wanted to include without requiring a whole trilogy of Lord of the Rings proportions was looking nearly impossible. But it was becoming increasingly obvious to me how important this topic was to address. The world has never been less engaged with work. With post-COVID productivity numbers trending ever lower and 24% of people feeling like they are working for their worst boss ever, I don't think the word crisis is an exaggeration. This is made worse by the fact that for everyone dealt the hand of a bad boss is often only offered 2 pieces of advice. Suck it up and get on with it, which, if you're part of a younger generation, might be allied with the added bonus of a story that starts with, back in my day, or go and work for yourself then. Now, I will always encourage people to go down the entrepreneurial route if that is what they want to do, but it's unrealistic to just expect everyone to have the resources or appetite to strike out on their own. Beyond just quitting and throwing in the towel, this book is all about the third way, how to make the best of a bad situation. This book will teach you how to manage a terrible boss and present you with tactics to mitigate your circumstances and allow you to give yourself the best possible chance of success. It is worth spending a little time talking about why I felt like I was the right person for the job. I have been an entrepreneur now for over 10 years. I built my first business, a digital marketing agency, over 9 years, opening offices in both London and New York. I sold the business at the end of 2021. Since then, I've gone on to found 2 new businesses, a green technology company called Gaia and my content business called Benchmark. In short, I've been hiring, firing, managing and leading people for over a decade. In that time, I've made every possible mistake you can imagine. Much of the contents of this book is based on things I did badly, as well as the bits I managed to get right. I still cringe at some of those memories. For example, the first time I fired someone, I did it so badly and beat around the bush so much she didn't realize she was being fired. I had to book a second meeting to make it clear. One of the reasons I talk about the importance of management training is because of how much I know I needed it early on in my career. But that's not why I've written this book. The reason I felt I have the knowledge and insight to put digital pen to paper is that I have had the privilege of receiving over 200,000 boss stories from my followers over the past couple of years through my social media channels. These stories come from every possible country, sector and demographic. They range from the completely ridiculous to the everyday frustration. A lot of these stories I've shared on my channel, others I will share in this book, but the sheer scale of the data has allowed me to weave together a narrative that explains where we get it wrong, why so many bosses are making these mistakes, and what the potential solution.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?